Theories became accusations. By the end, the narrator claims that they were left standing by themselves, witnessing their name dragged into a circumstance cause. There is one thing that is evident. It has nothing to do with jealousy. Clout is not at issue here. It has nothing to do with attention. It has to do with narrative control, about the power equal to that of speaking, about how accusations might be less harmful than omissions, and how one meticulous tale by the time the story reaches this point. The tension isn't coming from what's being said anymore, or from what hasn't been. Kate can assign blame without ever naming names. And behind it all is the same unanswered question that no one can clearly address. If the truth was so obvious, why wasn't it made clear? Stated that the focus is now on the consequences rather than Tamar's interview. The response, the fallout, the silent portion that happened in real time. The speaker makes it itself wasn't the most detrimental aspect of the scenario. The internet was occupied with analyzing videos and making judgments. It was what transpired after they talked about seeing the story take unexpected turns, observing strangers use assumptions to fill in the blank, observing their own name being included in discussions that seemed reality. And to exacerbate the situation, they elucidate the fact that none of it was necessary, because in their opinion, it might have been prevented with just one straightforward declaration, one acknowledgement, and one honest moment. Rather, quiet assumed control. In such circumstances, being silent turns into a form of accusation in and of itself. The speaker explains how people started posing irrelevant inquiries. Messages poured in. The number of comments increased. Everyone was curious about what they had witnessed, what they knew, and what they didn't. Stating, however, the speaker maintains that they weren't being afraid. They were restraining themselves by holding back. They claimed that they didn't want to be the ones to reveal everything. They didn't want to make a difficult situation into a spectacle or reveal private moments. They thought the truth would ultimately surface on its own. However, something else took place instead. The story became more rigid. The narrative ceased to be about perplexity and began to sound more like the speaker became aware that the harm had already been done at that point. She describes why she felt unfairly singled out and how people thought she knew more. Here, the tone has changed. More determined, less sentimental. The speaker starts drawing lines at this point. They make it clear that they never said they were aware of what transpired upstairs. They never said they saw anything. They never said they were hurt. They did make a straightforward claim. They weren't present. Additionally, they declined to accept accountability for something they were unable to see. However, the tale had already taken on a life of its own, so that distinction was irrelevant in the court of public opinion. The speaker talks about seeing videos go viral in which Tamar talks about waking up hurt, disoriented and shaken, and witnessing people's emotional reactions without any context, observing compassion turn into, and the story changed once more, slowly and almost imperceptibly. It was more than simply Tamar now. It wasn't only regarding uncertainty. It has to do with blame. The speaker creates a clear line at that point. They claim that if a severe incident had indeed occurred, the reaction ought to have been prompt, transparent, and appropriately managed. Authorities, medical experts, clear explanations, not ambiguous interviews, not cryptic remarks, not imaginative phrase that is provocative. This is where their voice becomes more frustrated because they find it hard to disregard the conflict. You can't claim to have almost died and add that you have no idea what transpired. You cannot suggest harm without providing an explanation. You cannot allow people to You cannot allow
the whole TikTok, the whole YouTube.
Even before the statement is said, the room becomes silent. The kind of pause that hangs heavy is present. The kind where everyone is the object is going to fall. The camera lingers. The host changes. Then it appears as a confession rather than a shout. Frustrated but restrained warning. She claims she doesn't even know how to react to Tamar. Her tone was already strained. The moment is uneasy because of that indecision. Because what comes next isn't rumors. It's not a rumor. It's a gradual disintegration of a night that, in the speaker's opinion, have been made into a public spectacle. The interview had begun informally. Sitting across from Tamar from L'Oreal that talks about a drive, drinks, friends, a birthday, and a night out. On the surface, nothing dramatic. However, the moment she admits that she wakes up unaware of what had happened to her, the energy changes. Felt strange. The internet leaned at that point. What happened between you and me was not what I didn't. Well, it's still not leaning forward right now. Clips started going viral in a matter of minutes. The audience rewound. Comment area. Individuals were responding to what wasn't said rather than what was. The way a story about dinner and alcohol gradually began to seem like something complete. The way facts didn't match. And the way answers partially correct. The reply did not come from a person who had been present, witnessed the entire evening. Someone who asserts that the current version is not merely false. It's intent. You began by asking, are you actually happened to you? No, I'm not. Or are you able to discuss, I don't know what actually happened to me, but I can talk about it. Not finished. Someone who had been silent up to that point. What transpired between us was something I never intended to happen. However, this is tolerable to me. The tone shifts at that point. The voice becomes tighter. The annoyance becomes intimate. All of a sudden, the story is no longer about a party. It concerns who was present, who showed up late, and who, in this view, had absolutely no right to be involved. Names begin. Motions are tracked.